And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Intercontinental Hotel here. Live with the best tag team on TV, bar none. When Dr. PLO, Lumumba, and Muluka show up, you know you need to sit back. Better yet, lean forward. Twitter handles are at Barack M, at Koinange Jeff. Someone's Softy Ojambo saying, ask PLO why he has not subscribed to Twitter.
I'm safer that way.
That's your answer. Joshua Ombugi says, best and favorite guest ever and always. State of the Nation, Barack Muluka, Dr. PLO, Lumumba. And then the royal one says, Lumumba knows some Swahili too? How are you when you're Baba Yao?
Ndio gwiji kabisa.
Ndio?
Ndio gwiji.
Gwiji.
Aliyembobea katika lugha hiyo kabisa. Anashona na kushona.
Mwenyewe kabisa. Baba Yao.
Baba Yao.
Gentlemen, switching gears, ICC, a couple of weeks ago, they said, the judges ruled that recanted evidence will now be used, unprecedented at the ICC. Recanted evidence. Barack, your thoughts? I mean, this puts Deputy President Ruto and Sang's case, it's back out there. It's kind of shaky.
Yeah, I think it's worrying. Certainly, it changes the matrix very significantly. Hence, I think the prayer meetings, or so-called prayer meetings, I dare say, that we are now witnessing. But I think, again, let us put this in context, that at some point we went to the essential assemblies, the assembly of state parties, to the United Nations, seeking the variation of some of the clauses. And particularly we were keen that the clause on a sitting president, or deputy president, being allowed not to attend court, to be tried in absentia, was changed at our behest. And we came back smiling and laughing. But what we also did in exchange was that we accepted that clause number 68 could also be changed to allow for evidence that has been recanted, or evidence by witnesses who turned to be hostile against their party to be admissible if, in the opinion of the learned and respectable judges, there are factors, extenuating circumstances that would allow for that kind of thing to be done. And we have heard that there was a gentleman's agreement between Kenya and the court that this would not apply in this case. But we have got to differentiate between what people agree in the corridors and what they agree in formalized contexts. So if we gave with one hand, we took also with another hand, and that is where we now are. And this is a worrying one. Yeah. What we need to be asking ourselves is whether the way we are responding to it is the right way, because we have seen that we seem again to be in very high voltage politics around it, that we are in fact sending out what passes for battle cries or war cries, mob psychology, mob justice, starting to kind of whip people in line in preparation for I don't know what, a megadon or something like that. I don't know what they're preparing people for, but I know that what I've seen over the weekend is anything but a prayer. Prayer should be about adoration. It should be about supplication. It should be about penitence, going before God. It should be about humility. It should be about confession and repentance. And then you can say to God, and God, now I seek your intercession within my affairs. And that's not what we are witnessing. What we are witnessing is people who seem to be mobilizing, or to be sending a message that we can mobilize. And if that kind of messaging gains traction, I think it exacerbates the case of the deputy president, because he's essentially before this court because somebody alleges that he mobilized, or he has the ability to mobilize, or that mobilization could be done on his behalf for ends such as eventually constitute war crimes or such other offenses as have been defined by the court. And so they probably need to go a little easy on that. I don't know what counsel he has enjoyed from his lawyers before the court.
Yeah, Dr. PLO, is Ruto, when you look down the line, Deputy President Ruto, is he in trouble?
I don't want to talk about the merits or demerits of the case, but if I was Deputy President Ruto, I would be very afraid. I would be very afraid. It must be remembered that this is a legal problem, and legal problems require legal solutions. When you politicize them, remember we are dealing with a court that is composed of human beings, and the Kenyan political class has humiliated the ICC and continues to humiliate the ICC. And we only have to look at other cases, not by the ICC, but similar tribunals. Let us look at the jurisprudence of the Tokyo Tribunal. Let us look at the jurisprudence of the Nuremberg Tribunal. Let us look at the jurisprudence of Rwanda, jurisprudence of former Yugoslavia, and particularly the case of Charles Taylor, who was convicted fundamentally on the evidence of one witness. And the truth, therefore, as Barack has rightly put it, what is happening now is actually in many ways lending credence to the argument of the prosecution that this individual has the capability to organize or organization to be made on his behalf, and that he is capable of forming a network, and that there is a chain of command. If I were to advise Deputy President Ruto, I would tell the people who want to organize prayers on my behalf, thank you very much. But this is a personal problem, as I said when I was seeking the votes. I've hired my legal team. Let my legal team deal with it legally in a sober and a proper manner. We wish him well. But many of these individuals who are shouting Hosanna, Hosanna during the day could very well be the ones who are saying crucify him at night.
Yeah.
My counsel to Deputy President, deal with this thing. We wish you well. But remember, the prophet Isaiah also says that they may pray, but I'll turn my head. I suspect God may have turned away his head, because what we see is not prayer and supplication. It is insults and abuse.
Yeah.
The God that I worship is a jealous God who wants to be worshipped in total supplication.
Yeah, well put, PLO, well put. One of the people making the most noise is my good friend, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen from Elgeyo Marakwet. He says, quote him, he says, the ICC keeps moving the goalposts. Barack.
You know, first, this thing about the court being political, there's no question about it. It's stated very clearly in the preamble to the Rome Statute that this is a political court, that it is established for political purposes, that its main objective is to try people who are either too powerful to be tried in their own countries, people from environments whose jurisprudence is completely skewed and weak, and therefore cannot see a process of this kind taking place, that it addresses something that it calls impunity. But beyond that, the international criminal justice system, as I have seen it as a student of history, functions completely differently. It's capable of framing the crime that one is going to be tried for after the event. If you look at the Nuremberg trials in the post-World War II dispensation, that was the time when we first started hearing about such things as war crimes, about crimes against humanity, that when the war was going on between 1939 and 1945, nobody had ever come up with the notion of war crimes. So the people who had been arrested and who are biding their time, waiting for trial, someone else was busy trying to say, what shall we try them for? And they came up with all this. So it is possible that what you call goalposts will keep on shifting, because the whole idea here is deterrence, that we want to do this so that it's going to be a lesson, it's going to be a message to other people, like the philosopher Michel Montaigne of France said many years ago. When you punish somebody who has committed an offense, it's not so that you undo that which they did. It's mostly so that other people may learn and refrain from doing things of a similar nature. And for that matter, therefore, you're dealing with a court which has been given that responsibility to try and send a message to other people.
Yeah, and
you have to be very careful.
Sure, and at the same time, I think there are individuals in the Rift Valley who are smelling blood. They can see this right now, and they're going for the jugular. One of them, Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto, the other Ruto. Now they're standing up to the deputy president. Now they're abusing each other almost in public, verbally. Doesn't look very good, PLO.
I don't want to be uncharitable to my friend Isaac, but I saw the spat between him and the deputy president, and I didn't think it was dignified. I hold the view that when you hold certain offices, you at all times must conduct yourself with dignity. And I'm quite certain that is the kind of footage that if the two of them were to watch, they would want to turn off the television. But as we said, there is a sense in which there is a titanic battle, and there are those who may actually already be writing the political obituary of the deputy president. There are those who think that his days are numbered like the pages of a book, and therefore they are using this opportunity and taking advantage, and they are doing everything. They may very well say in his hearing that we support you. They may very well be enthusiastic at prayer meetings held on his behalf. Tears may roll down like oceans out of their eyes, but in the inner recesses of their heart, their wish is that the day of reckoning comes sooner rather than later. And I think he ought to be wary of them. For the man who said or thought I did not know Kiswahili, in Kiswahili they say, chawa iumayo iko ndani ya ufundo. The lies that actually bites you is the one that is deep inside.
In the fold.
In the fold, deep inside. So there is a sense in which Rift Valley is having some tectonic movements, if you may.
Is that sort of like kikulacho?
Kingoni mwako.
Na kikulacho ni wewe mwenyewe, kwa sababu kilicho nguani mwako ni wewe mwenyewe. Na wale wendani wako. But there's a sense in which, again, we need to look at this whole situation around the deputy president with more empathy than we have done. If I were to borrow from PLO again, this is one case where as a nation we need to soberly come together and reflect about it, like I've seen him citing the prophet Isaiah, who has said, come, let us reason together. It's a moment to come and reason together about this whole situation and where we want to go. First, does it seem fair and just to us that two individuals should carry the cross of a whole nation for what happened at that time? We have heard that the ICC is about people who are considered to be most responsible. Perhaps they were most responsible, perhaps they were not. I don't know what evidence has been adduced before the court. We know that quite a bit of this has been redacted, and therefore we do not know the fullness of these details. But is there a sense of gleefulness in this whole thing? Is there a sense of inhumane indifference on the part of some players? The Code Brigade, for example, if the deputy president were to be convicted, would they shed some crocodile tears after that, or would they join a celebratory party somewhere? What would happen?
You know, Barack, you've said something that I must butt in and say, that this is indeed the time that the country must dialogue. Because the question that we must ask ourselves as a nation is whether the long-term health of the nation requires that our memories must be selective. And that perhaps if we could persuade the international community that we can reason together, and in the context of truth, justice, and reconciliation, the problems that we had in the year 2007 can be resolved in the domestic arena, perhaps we should be speaking with one voice. Perhaps this is the time that the opposition, this is the time that the government, this is the time that I want to hear the voices of the clergy, the Catholics, my own Anglican church, the Presbyterian, the Muslims and the Hindus saying, let us come and reason together and engage in genuine prayer. Perhaps this is the time.
But being the nation we are, gentlemen, being the nation we are, we want to see that man go down. We're hypocritical.
I don't think we should go that direction at all. I agree completely with the PLO. And look, the statute is there. The Rome Statute is there. It has got its provisions. But we have seen that some of those provisions have been altered in the midstream. The appearance of witnesses during, or rather of the accused during the trial, certain permissions were made, and therefore when President Kenyatta was a subject before the court, he was allowed to stay away. The deputy president was allowed to stay away. And now we have seen that recanted evidence can still be used. So I don't think that the path is completely closed, that there exists room for a negotiated exit. But that negotiated exit is not going to be conducted within the prism of catcalls pretending to be prayer meetings. That you need sobriety here, men and women of goodwill, of conscience. And essentially we are saying that let us address everything around this matter, including the question of the victims of the post-election violence, and that we can still come together, and the health of the nation going forward.
To cut a long story short, is it a power game here between URP and TNA? Is that a power game? If you were URP, would you feel left out? Would you feel let down?
We are not initiated, but there is a sense in which if one is an observer, one cannot help to see. And the URP brigade have actually said, we feel that our partners in this marriage are neglecting us, and that we want to see some kind of commitment. And what we now see as saber rattling and gunboat diplomacy from the URP brigade is actually the tantrums, if you may, or the sulking of a jilted partner. And I think that this is the time that you must have what I call rapprochement. And this rapprochement can only be achieved if the president midwives it. It behooves the President of the Republic now to demonstrate that his concern is about the health of the nation, not the next election.
Yeah. And Bara, before we go on break, real quick, you think there are powerful forces within the ICC who would want to see the ICC save face? Because since its creation, they've only had one conviction, Thomas Lubanga, one conviction. Do they want to save face? Do they want to set an example here?
I want to believe that the ICC, just like any other court, would reach its decisions on the basis of the gravity of the evidence that has been adduced before the court. And that if the prosecutorial process is faulty, the judges cannot blame themselves for failing to convict. If they wanted to convict, and they wanted to convict for extrajudicial causes and concerns, they have had all these people and they could have convicted any one of them. There's nothing particularly outstanding about this case, so that we say there's something face-saving. But there is a level to which we have behaved with arrogance and with the disrespect and contempt towards the court. As PLO says, you're dealing with human beings, and I want to believe that any human being who finds you to be treating them with contempt, pushed beyond a certain point, will also rain down heavily upon you. So it's more of our comportment rather than these accusatory assertions. And each time we say things like, oh, they want to save face, we really rankle them, we rub them completely the wrong way. I think there are better ways of trying to get this matter determined in the manner that we would wish it to be done.
And the better way is to shut up.
Remove all these shoutons, all these sabre rattlers who are going around saying that they are beating the drums of prayer because they are not saying any prayer.
No, they're not. Gentlemen, I want to take a break, come back. Talk about rogue doctors. What was that we just saw on TV the other day? Shocking.
Tragic.
Shocking. Let's talk about that. Mugo wa Wairimu. Where is he?
I thought it was Mugomo wa Walimu.
Mugomo wa Walimu.
Oh, so it was Mugo wa Wairimu.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, our world champion athletes. We have to.
Amazing, but their thunder was stolen.
Can you imagine? TIK versus Kenya.
Yeah.
JKL takes another break. We are live with the best political tag team on TV, Dr. PLO, Lumumba, Barack Muluka. Twitter handles are at Barack M, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag Taking Stock. We're taking stock, taking a commercial break. We'll be back in a moment.